Are ready.
We're ready.
It just,
Is he
We're
gonna
ready.
put on the screen?
Look at everybody sitting up straight. Okay.
On air.
more or less.
All right.
Welcome, everybody, to the June 9th meeting of the Commission on Aging Well. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And first agenda item is approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes that Jill sent out. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Public appearances for non-agenda items. We have Pam with us today. Pam, would you like to say a few words?
Well, yeah, thank you. I'm very, very excited to be part of this committee. I retired from education in August of 2020, and in the pandemic, I was a school superintendent in Belleville. That was my last position. Was in education 46 years, and decided that through the COVID, it was my age, just time, but I did stay till August to get school started. So, and the transition was beautiful. My high school principal took over for me, so it worked very, very well. But anyway, as a result of that, I didn't get involved in anything, obviously, because of COVID and the pandemic. So I've been very cautious over the last year, because I think had it been open then, I just would have jumped into everything, because I'm used to that. That's how I roll, 10 to 12 hours a day. But it gave me a lot of time to really reflect and think about, what kinds of things do I want to be involved in now. So I've been really kind of just sitting back, waiting. We did some traveling this winter, and ironically, I live just across Fish Hatchery. I had never been to the senior center.
It's really not that ironic. It happens all the time.
I lived here 8 years. Yeah, you're going on 9 almost. And I wasn't old enough to come here. That's
Right.
But I've always been a little interested in it, and I did kind of, I go on your website, and I know during the pandemic you tried to do things online, and I just kind of always watched, so I knew it was here, obviously. And so I had a friend that joined the exercise class that's at 8:30. The aerobics, and because I went to Pinnacle Gym and my membership was up, and she said, "Oh, why don't you come and just try it?" So I thought, well, gee, I've never even been here yet. So I came over, and I was walking down the hall, and one of the ladies that's in the class, by the way, this is such a testament. She and her husband have coming for 10 years from McFarland.
Oh, yeah.
3 times a week,
Yeah.
Jackie and Duke.
Yeah.
And she is real talkative, and she said, "Oh, you got to come and join our class." So I said, well, I kind of looked in, and then I went down. I didn't even know there was a downstairs, but I was looking for the office, found the downstairs, and Susie at the desk, so nice, and she goes, "Oh, you want to meet everybody? Let's have a tour." So she takes me all over, and I run into Jill. I think we met at that time, and your volunteer coordinator is very persuasive.
Yes.
And she said, "Oh, you want to volunteer?" And of course, I look at the form, and I'm like, well, I know she wanted me to deliver meals. And I said, "No, I don't think that's what I really want to do."
Yeah.
I mean, I would if you probably needed somebody, but that's not it. Just take the form home and read it. Or, and so I took it home, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I put the committee, I think, on there, or I'd be on a committee. Of course, I've been at so many board meetings and been at so many board meetings, I kind of miss them. And so then Jill called, and that's how I got here. So I'm just very delighted. I hope my background in education and kind of my passion, and I have to tell you, I feel this is a really good fit for me, because this whole area of wellness and aging is kind of, I was an educator, but I'm also almost a yoga instructor. I'm real close to being certified. I've always been, very physically fit. I'm biking. I bike every Thursday. That's why I have to scoot out of here at 9:30, because I try to have these biking. I'm in 2 bike groups. Obviously doing this very nice class. I love the class. Any of you, if you want to exercise and have fun, it is the class to go to.
There we go. There's our
It's
PR.
really good. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel this is really a good fit for me, and I'm really excited and hope I can contribute.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
So if she can't vote on anything today, but we always say, come on and take your input, and it's nice to, we have a lot of institutional knowledge and folks that have been with us for a long time, and they're just slowly
Yeah.
bringing in on new folks, and that feels really good. So
What is the
welcome.
background of everybody here?
Oh, we can go around quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was teacher, middle school teacher, 30 years. I volunteered at the senior center for 20 years.
20.
Wow.
20, yeah.
Good for
And
you.
what
Yeah.
all are you involved with?
Pardon me?
And what is the list of things that you are involved with at the center?
Oh, yeah. Well, I work in the kitchen. I'm once a week on Tuesdays. I call it a kitchen slave. And I lead the men's group.
My husband, by the way, is interested in that,
Oh,
so
good.
I'll have to talk to you
Yeah,
about that.
I'm gonna, in our next meeting, I'm gonna have, it's gonna be titled Hot Button Issues. And we're gonna deal with all
Love
of
it.
them.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but the men's group honors everybody's opinion.
Absolutely.
It's really
And
neat.
very respectfully. It's,
Right.
it's,
That's
yeah,
great.
he runs a great group, yeah.
And of
So,
course, I'm here with this.
Yeah.
My wife was the lead on the travel committee for the Fitchburg Friends.
Oh, you came in and brought the brochure yesterday, or somebody did.
yeah, I was there.
That's right.
Oh, were you
Yeah.
at the travel show?
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I was at the exercise class. but
Oh,
somebody
got it,
brought
sure,
me
sure, yeah,
I
solicitors.
did the exercise
Yeah.
class for
Yeah.
about 10 years,
yeah.
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Very
And
involved.
we do have yoga here, so you could have
Yeah,
yoga.
that'll be
Okay.
my next, I think it conflicts, actually.
Too much going on.
When you're a busy person, you never
Right.
can tell.
Yeah.
But there's always something to do here.
Yeah.
And so that's about it for me that I can think of. I don't know. Barbara?
Well, I've been on this committee for about 4 years, I think. And I do a route for Meals on Wheels. I was very active with the Friends of the Library, and both in passing the levy, instituting the levy. I led the book sales group for several years. My passion is knitting. I was on the board of the Knitters Guild for 7 years, president for 2. We had over 800 members, lest you think there were 50 knitters in Madison. And prior to that, well, I lived in several states, but I worked in human resources until I retired.
And her husband sits on our Friends board.
Yeah.
Nice.
She also was instrumental in pulling together the legacy program.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
done, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I joined I was recruited during COVID, so I didn't that long post-Zoom. A lot of corporate positions. I have worked in product management as director of marketing, research, director of marketing. I was in acquisitions, director of product development, and then I became part of faculty in school of business and corporate training at the Diploma Center for a couple of years, for a few years. And then I retired when my mother started showing signs of dementia, and so I was with her till she passed. And I started getting involved with stuff here. My passion would be probably more about the camping stores. I said we spent 5 nights at Royal Gorge and hiked the trails and did the Fitchburg Brook Trail at Mesa Verde. So that's kind of the kind of stuff we do. And I guess I'm now facilitating.
Yes, you are.
So this month, for anyone who's interested, we do it for pastor speaking. So if you want to join us, I don't know the dates, but you're welcome.
Oh,
And
thank
then we are biking on Monday.
Well, you might, is there a bike group with,
With the active women's group.
oh, I might do that, yeah.
Yeah, so that one, we've been rained out twice. So Monday, we're hoping we'll leave from here, just do a short introductory ride and have coffee. And then
Oh, okay, well, I'll talk to them. Yeah, I'd be interested.
Okay. Donna?
And I'm Donna Stewart. I also came during COVID, about the same time as Linda. most of my career was spent at UW Stout. I'm retired professor emeritus from Stout. Taught in this. You did? You did that?
We're gonna have fun at the bar when we go. Fun at the bar.
79. And a halftime at South, halftime at Clark.
Sure. Oh, before I got there. I arrived on campus in '89. I wasn't all that much older than those college students. But during my career, they went from being friends to being like my children's age to something other than that. Yeah, it's a great school.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah, my
Education,
I have
sure.
counseling. No, I
Oh,
was I have an
counseling,
ed
sure.
specialist in guidance and
Yeah,
counseling.
sure.
Forgot to tell you that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that too.
Then I left there to be provost at a couple of large community college campuses in suburban Chicago. And then our daughter and son-in-law, who reside in Madison, shared that they were going to have our first grandchild. I stayed through commencement, did my thing, and truly, I think it was 2 days later, the moving van came and brought us up here. And I think like all of us who have been very, very busy in our pre-retirement time, to be very cautious about what do we want to spend our time with. And the pandemic was a bit of a gift in that it really pushed you to not jump. It'd be so easy, and you think of meetings every night. I remember being called out by my family, like, you need to stay home, you're at church more than, or wherever. So it really pushed us to ask what brings us joy. And I think there's a common theme, a passion for wellness as we transition into a couple of big chapters of our life here. And the work that I think this commission can do is remarkable. And Jill and Jim, I think, have done extraordinary work in helping us identify and take what small steps we can in addressing policy or more conceptual changes in awareness and meeting the needs of a growing population in this Fitchburg area. So that's what brought me here.
I'm gonna pull this closer to you, or can you just point it? Like Jeremy said, just make sure we speak closer to the mic when we're talking, so, great.
I want people to know who I am.
Yeah.
Witness protection.
Okay, Paul?
Okay, I'm a newbie as well. So Pam, I was in your shoes where you're just supposed to sit and listen and keep your mouth shut. I went through that. I retired in the end of 2020 after most of my career in corporate communications with Culver's, and then with the Dean Health System before that. And before that, in the first part of my professional career, I was in television news here in Madison. I was a news director and anchor at WKOW for about 10 years. I've enjoyed my time here. And when I went to the city council and they said, well, why do you want to serve on this commission? I said, well, I'm 67 years old and I'm interested in aging well.
And you're a good fit.
Yeah, I'm a good fit,
Done and done.
Yeah, that's my story.
Yeah. And we've got Dave on Zoom. Dave, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm your council representative on the Council on Aging Well. I'm in my first term in council, the second year, so I was reappointed to the Commission on Aging Well. I kid the mayor that he appointed me because I am the oldest alder that is on the council. But this is a Commission on Aging Well is something near and dear to my heart. I'm an engineer. I'm still working. But kind of my inspiration, my life, are my parents. My father will be 85 this year. My mother will be 81. Father still rides his bike, when weather permitting, like 10 miles a day. And in the winter when it's cold and he can't, he walks 3 miles a day. And they've always been very, very active. And consequently, they're healthy. And my family, my siblings, I have been fortunate to have had parents that lived a long and healthy life, and that's kind of I want to see the same thing for our Fitchburg residents, that our seniors are having a happy life, and selfishly they're there that their children can enjoy their healthy life too. So that's all I have to say. Again, glad to be here and glad to be on this commission.
Thanks, Dave. Marcia?
I am not official member of the Commission on Aging Well. I'm the liaison between the Fitchburg Senior Center Friends and the Commission. So I just get on the screen here and give a report from our Friends meeting, which occurred just a week ago. And I've been retired for since 2009, I think it was, and I started going to the senior center because I wanted to learn how to play Chinese mahjong, and now that's not offered because, COVID interrupted it. And but as I was hanging around the senior center, I just met the staff, who are all delightful people, and got involved with the Friends. I'm in my 6th year of being on the Friends board, and you have to roll off after 6. So I worked as a librarian the last years, but my employment was interspersed with children and family, and so I'm retired, but my husband is not. So.
All right. Thanks, Marcia. And Marcia does a lot of fundraisers. She does way more than just be a liaison to us. So, and that's embarrassing because when I retire, I'll be like, well, I was at the senior center my whole life. Seriously, I started my 30th year. This year, I will start my 30th year here at the senior center. Yeah. So I have aged, I've aged all right, I guess.
You're aging well.
I'm aging well. So it's really, it's so wonderful to hear all your stories again, and I just feel like I am so lucky to have all of you be a part of our center. So thank you for your commitment to the center and the seniors in Fitchburg. So, all right. So let's, go ahead, Jim. I don't want to run the meeting. That's not my role.
Okay. Well, thank you. Our first agenda item is Resolution R-11622 regarding the Senior Center patio. Mm-hmm. And Jill, if you want to say a few words about that for Pam's benefit, so she understands what this resolution is.
Okay, so during the pandemic and a little bit after, we started talking about, the importance of being outdoors. A few years back, we had some memorial money where we bought some patio furniture, and then we just slapped it out on that concrete in front of the entrance of the senior center. And people used it a lot. A lot of times, folks that were waiting for the bus sit outside, and, it's just really nice. And then we got more memorial money, and then we started talking about, we've been talking about patio for a long time, to tell you the truth. Probably 5 years, somebody had approached me about putting a patio and could I fund a shelter and blah, blah, blah. And, at that point, I'm like, I don't know. But then when the pandemic hit, we really started to think about it. And wouldn't it be nice to have a really nice, welcoming seating area outside? We have some furniture, and now we need more space. So that, one thing led to another. I talked to the city a lot about it, and it was decided that this would be more of a fundraising opportunity by donations versus a city type thing. So the city, I was going to put it in the CIP, and we decided, and I kind of decided, I think we can fundraise for such an opportunity. And we also have some memorial and legacy funds, and we have support of the Friends. So we made a decision that we wanted to do the patio. And therefore, because we made that decision, I worked with Ganschertz, who was very generous in giving me some ideas about cost and and what the conceptual design might look like, and so forth. And I've been working with Public Works, so we came up with a cost of about $30,000. And so looking towards the Friends made a commitment to match up to $10,000. We do have some legacy funds, which is where donations go into the senior center account that is just for senior center things. So it's very protected. It can never go back in the general fund. So we're going to take $10,000 out of those funds, and then we're going to raise $10,000. So the city needs to officially make a budget amendment for that $30,000. And then we can begin our fundraising. We cannot break ground until we have all the money in hand. So my goal is that we start fundraising as soon as the budget amendment is passed, which I don't see a problem with that next week. I've got some folks that I'm reaching out to kind of to guide me for that. I don't know if you call it a capital campaign, if $10,000 is really capital. If we raise more, is one thing, it's like doing anything at your house, like, well, we'll just do this, and then one thing. So then I was like, well, if we're gonna build a patio, maybe we should pull some electric over there, and then I was like, well, initially we looked at a shade structure, which was very expensive. And this was even beforehand, and I have no idea. So I got some quotes, and that was about $16,000, for a beautiful shade structure, because we can't just do anything. This property was donated by ProMega years ago. So ProMega, across the street, Fitchburg Center, it's called, they have architectural review out of anything that happens outside of the building, and so I have to meet all of their standards. And so there's several things that we have, criteria that we have to meet for that patio. You just can't have it look a certain way. I mean, you can, but they have to approve it. And so I have a lot of the prerequisites. So once we have a design, we're gonna have to send it over to their board. They look at it, make sure it meets all of their standards, and then send it back. So the process can be a little bit long. But anyway, back to one thing leads to another. I'm like, well, if we're going to create this space, maybe we should look at potentially building it for a possible shade structure. So I've been watching the sun out there, and where it lands. And so I'm looking at getting a quote to pour some pilings to select that shade structure now. So, if we get a windfall of, lots of money, then we could put it in right away. If not, we can continue. We're looking at some possibilities of bricks, with names as fundraisers and stuff, but really just the basic, we've got a basic patio. It was in your packet. I am paying for a more detailed conceptual design that we can use to visually promote the patio, although we're not sure that will be the final design, because you can't send this out to RFP for a proposal until I have the money in hand. So it's kind of just, walking these lines to say, well, it's kind of going to look like this. There's going to be a little retaining wall. It'll be built up. It'll have seating for at least 14. So it's in the packet on the little, I don't have it pulled up, but you can kind of see the little round, a little round outside. And it's going to be, so when you walk up to the senior center and you look to the left, there's sort of a concrete patio that's right in front of the big window. It's going to be to the left of that and kind of come out around a little bit. So we've got a little work to do in terms of the design and stuff, but really the main thing is to kick off that fundraiser. And so today, I ask for your approval for that budget amendment. It'll go through here first, and then it'll go through finance. And then final approval at the city level, I think next week. I'm looking for my little timeline here. Yeah, on the 14th, so.
Any questions for Jill before we quickly pass this? Oh, yeah, Dave.
Public Works approved on Monday night.
Oh, I was just looking at that. Thanks,
Great.
Dave. Any
The
questions?
only question was, one of the members asked, is there going to be maintenance? Will it have to be shoveled in the winter? And I said, I don't anticipate us using it in the winter. Am I correct? Maybe you have some a lot of Norwegians, senior citizens that want to sit outside. But
I would
Put a hot tub out
I'm not
there.
one of them.
Hot tub, yeah. I'll put a shovel out there, and if somebody wants to sit out there, they can shovel their way.
Maybe
Absolutely.
Problem solved.
curling out there?
Curling, exactly. I like it. Yeah, so, thank you, Dave. Linda?
Just wondering, you didn't mention, you told us about where the 30,000 number came from.
Uh-huh.
Have you incorporated that in the information that'll be presented next week? Is that next week?
To the city? Yeah, it's
it's in
in
this
the,
resolution
yeah,
right
it's
here.
in this,
No,
memo.
but I mean
Oh.
that it was from Ganchert. So this wasn't just a number you pulled out of the air, that there were some.
Well, you know,
Or is there some,
I guess I don't know if they talked about that, but I mean, I worked with
it's-
Public Works.
okay, so they feel there was enough
Yeah.
knowledge to be a real number.
Yeah. And initially, Public Works had given me a lot of figures too about grading and that kind of stuff. And then Ganchert's gave me costs for materials, you know, and what that work would do. And so, yeah, and then I actually bumped up that price. Most likely, by the time this is all said and done, my goal would be to break ground in the spring. So we've got a little breathing room.
Jill, does this impact the current slab out there where there are some chairs? Is that?
It doesn't impact that slab at all. When I had somebody from Public Works come down, we talked about possible impact of removing a tree depending on the drainage of the stormwater. But after a discussion, she felt like no. So no, we will connect to that patio, but we won't disturb it. We looked at running electric. There's some, I don't know if they're called balusters, the lights. There's 3 or 4 lights when you walk up the sidewalk. We looked at, you know, gosh, could we run electricity from under there? But that would then tear up that concrete. So there's another area in the back of the building that we can pull electricity and run some conduits along the bottom of the building. So it will, so quick answer, no.
No.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Was the design done to fit the space?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, because it's hilly and it's a small space too. Yeah. So,
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, do I hear a motion for approval?
Seconded.
Oh, everybody's
Second
saying.
motion.
they're very excited.
Okay. All right.
You said hurry it up.
All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that resolution is passed.
Awesome.
Did you get a second? You know which one?
So many
Yeah,
people,
okay,
I'm just
okay,
going
take your
to say.
choice.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
give it to Paul.
Next, we'll hear from Marcia for a Senior Center Friends report.
Yes, yesterday the travel show was held and they had very good attendance. It was over 40 people that came to the room. 10 people took the Holland trip, Tulip Festival trip in May to Michigan. 9 people are signed up for the Colorado Trains tour in July. So far, 16 people have signed up for the National Parks of the Southwest tour. But there is room for actually about 16 more. So it'll still probably run, but we would like to garner a little more interest from locals. So that is set for September. There's been quite a lot of interest in the new tours that we're planning for 2023, along with the help of the Mayflower Travel, Cruises and Travel Agency. There's New Orleans, there's America's Heritage of the East, Mount Rainier and Olympic National Park, a Rhine River cruise in Europe, and New England Rails and Sails. Flyers like this are available in the lobby at the Senior Center, across from Susie's desk. The Friends paid $2,143.66 for special needs during May. This included a hotel stay for one of Sarah's clients, and she spoke about that a couple of months ago here at the commission's meeting. Sarah has filed for reimbursement from the county for most of that cost, up to $2,000. It's just that we served as the immediate payer for this particular client. Purchases of $25 gift cards for gasoline from Quick Trip was made, and those will be used over the next year or so, or less, for clients who are in desperate need of having some gas money. $50 in scholarships for exercise classes was also paid, and other small expenses. Income during May amounted to $1,948, of which $1,800 will be used for one specific client of Amy's, and she talked about that at your meeting a couple of months ago. We simply do the bookkeeping of this money for this client's housekeeping needs. The Friends received a donation of $47.96 from the Amazon Smile program.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
if you don't know what that is, I can tell you more later. They make these payments quarterly, Amazon does, when a nonprofit has earned more than $5. And I was hoping we'd earn $5, but I was thrilled that we received almost $50 on our first, this is our first go-round with Amazon Smile, and we'll just keep promoting it over time. So we thank everyone who named the Fitchburg Senior Center Friends as their chosen nonprofit when they made an order with Amazon Smile. Let's see, on Thursday, July, this is next month, 14th, the Friends will conduct a brat lunch from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The planning committee will use the brats that Metcalf's donated to the senior center, and also will purchase some more so we don't run out. The lunch includes brats, buns, chips, water or lemonade, a cookie, and condiments. The cost will be $5, which means it's not a huge fundraiser, but it's getting us back into the fundraising mode that we've missed for these last couple of years. Customers will be able to drive through, or they can dine in the dining room, not the living room. And that's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Marcia. I like that you called it a living room. That feels homey.
Yeah.
So Metcalf's, that's part of that Memorial Day Brat Fest. And so in the past, we've held it around Memorial Day, but we just pushed it off. They come frozen, so it didn't matter, and that was just a busy time. So thank you to the Friends. And that's our friend raiser, right? That's a friend raiser, not a fundraiser. And then just to kind of follow up on the money that the Friends are sort of floating, so we've had a couple clients run into some situations. The housing was one of them. We almost had another situation where someone was homeless. We had to put them up in a hotel. But there is county funds through elder abuse that you can use to pay for those expenses. But the county, to get that money, is painfully slow. So it's really nice that we have the Friends that will front that money, and then they'll wait for the reimbursement, because that would be something I certainly could not put through the city. So we're very grateful to the Friends and their support. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll turn right back to Jill again for the director's report.
All right. So another sort of friend opportunity, fundraiser, but not really, it's a fundraiser at all, but is the Juneteenth meal. And we did this last year, and it was so successful. And just a way to kind of build awareness about, different cultures. In Juneteenth, if you know, I might say it wrong, when the slaves in Texas were notified that they were free. And so we've got food being catered in, and very traditional meal, chicken, baked mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, red velvet cake, and red soda. So you need to sign up by Friday, and it is $10 to cover that cost. So, but that was a really fun day. So that will be held on Friday, June 17th, which, my gosh, we're almost there. Lots of other programs going on. Everything is just really hopping. Programs are being filled up. We're still doing some semi-Zoom options, but more people are coming in person now. And, even just with the travel show, 42 people, that's just great. So anyway, I won't go through the newsletter, but a lot of things going on, so take a peek. Talk a little bit about Town of Madison. It's going to be here as this time just ticks away. We're going to be going out to South Dell Park in the Town of Madison for 3 Thursdays, one in June, July, and August, to do outreach with the library and the rec department. So there'll be staff out there. I think it's 4 to 6 or 4:30 to 6:30 out at the park just to build some awareness about what we have to offer. And then we're also working with Fact TV to go over to the Novation Commons Senior Apartment Building sometime in June to just offer some outreach and educate them about what opportunities are here. We're trying to be semi-cautious about promoting our services early on because we can't case manage, we can't transport. If people can drive, they can come here, but you know, we don't want to offer something we can't do until November. And so we're just kind of, you know, tiptoeing about, you know, what's available to folks. And then, you know, we'll do more of a hard sale come October and learn more about those clients that South Madison, Newbridge is serving in terms of case management, home delivered meals, and then move them over to us when we're annexed. So that's exciting, and it's finally here. I've been hearing about it for a long time. So we are working on the legacy brochure update. We have a little subcommittee, and Linda serves on that, and Barb, and another woman, Nan Hoffman, and they were very instrumental in updating our brochure, which this is the wrong one. Anyway, the new ones are downstairs. But then we'll be working on the legacy brochure, and I kind of hope to get that kind of up and running before we do kick off our fundraising campaign, because we can funnel a lot of the stuff through the legacy brochure. So I have this wonderful committee that advises me on how to do that. So, shoot, I wanted to give you those new brochures. But anyway, so that's a side committee there. I'm starting to work on, so every year we get county funding for case management and nutrition. So we have to put in our budget request to the Department of Health and Human Services. And so we're working through the Area Agency on Aging. That's the process that we go through. The directors meet and say, what are our highest needs? Kind of across the board, there's 12 focal points that offer case management and nutrition. And so our main request is for case management funding. Every focal point is so different in terms of how they're funded. We're very lucky to have about 70% of our funding come from the city and 30% from the county to cover, really, I just dump it all into salary. So anyway, last year the county set aside non-mandated tax levy, about $1 million, that's split among us 12 focal points for case management. Some focal points, you know, their funding from Dane County is a little higher, closer to like 60%. And that's because that money is put into a formula that Dane County Access Committee develops that looks at income, it looks at rural versus urban, it looks at ages, and it's just kind of funneled through this formula and then dispersed that way. So anyway, we'll be working on that budget proposal, and you know, I've already met with the new board supervisor here from Fitchburg, and I'll be reaching out to the other one to just kind of say, this is coming down the pike, we hope you support this funding. So working on that. Our meals, that money actually comes from Older Americans Act money, and it funnels from the feds to the states to the county, and then the county does also kick in money for nutrition to pay for a lot of administrative stuff. So the money that comes from the feds and the Older Americans Act money is really to pay for the food, but there's not a lot of admin that goes into that. So we also get some funding from the county. This year we've got about $35,000. Hopefully we'll get that plus some. This year we have $52,000 for case management, plus another $15,000 for MA case management. So we're hoping to maintain that or get more. Meals are up. We are averaging about 35 home delivered meals every day, and that will probably increase with the town of Madison. That takes 5 drivers to get through this whole city. Donna and her husband being one, and Barb. And we are already having a few concerns about how we're going to encompass town of Madison, because that would almost take 5 new drivers. That's almost a whole route in itself. So we'll be looking at that. And then congregate is just, I don't really, in all my years, and that's a lot of years, our numbers are really high. I mean, Monday we had 32. tomorrow we have 28. Today we have 24, which is just wonderful. Like, I love it. The energy, it's wonderful. And it's so good to see. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of new people. So it's great. So I look forward to those numbers growing. But Mandy's already like, I need a new kitchen. Like, you lay out 35 bags in that small kitchen and try to deal with all that. You know, yeah, Jim knows. You're squished in the corner, filling bags.
How many people does that dining room seat?
Well, the dining room can seat probably easily 80.
Okay, so that's big.
Yeah, that's plenty big. It's the kitchen that seems to be the issue. I mean, it's like, we need to knock out this wall. I was like, not under me. I'm not. Maybe a patio I got in me, but that might be it. So anyway, so that's really exciting to see that, you know, I think that people are learning about us again. I hate to say it, but COVID really, I think, brought a lot of awareness to the senior center, you know, and people don't want to be isolated. So that's exciting. Talking about housing, Katie, our newest case manager, was over to the luxury senior housing that's behind Target. They open in July, and she had met a client over there who needs some housing, and it's very luxurious. That's all I can say. I can't wait to go visit, but when you can walk into a place and there's a big water fountain inside, then you know you've got nice luxury. So anyway, that's opening in July. I talked to the management at Limerick down the road here on Lacey, right at the roundabout. They were potentially opening in August. Now they pushed it back to September, but they are taking applications. So I know we've had a couple of people apply to be over there. So looking forward to new folks coming. Just kind of along the lines of case management, I've talked a little bit about the hotels to housing program, which ARPA money, some funding came through the state to help support families, anybody who were homeless. They put them in hotels during COVID, and then this next round of money now is to move them from the hotels into housing. And so we're working with about a dozen clients right now that are living in an apartment. And the goal is to not have them be homeless again when the money runs out next year, which is really concerning because these folks can't really work. So we're working with Lutheran Social Services has the main contract to case manage and try to connect them with services, but we're also working with a lot of folks. So Highline has a contract to house folks in this program, and then Limerick down the road here will also have a contract. So I'm anticipating supporting more clients and keeping them, you know, with a roof over their head. And that takes a lot of connection to a lot of services. So it's been very interesting, but I'm glad that we can be a part of that program. What else? Transportation. There's $80,000 in the CIP. I think they put it back under Public Works because both Andrew in Public Works and myself put it for a bus. And so they said, all right, only one of you can put in for a bus. So they put it under Public Works, I think. And so that is in the CIP currently. There's still a lot of question about what that's going to look like. Lots of questions. The grant, the 5310 money grant application came out last week. And that means if the city applied for that grant, it most likely will pay for 80% of the cost of that bus. And then the city or whomever picks up the 20%. If indeed we got that bus, we can then apply for another grant through some 8520 or 21 funds for operating, which would cover 50% of the expense of operating that bus. But again, the question is, what does it look like? What does that bus look like? Who does it serve? So we will see. None of those questions have been answered. I have my own idea because I've been thinking about this forever. I'm really pushing to get that bus this year and apply for that grant if this remains in the CIP. So we will see. I think the CIP, and Dave, you can correct me, I think you guys vote on it soon at the end of the month. Oh, you're on mute.
I think it's the end of June or July that we'll be voting
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
It's the marathon meeting. It's the one I hate the most of any, but.
Yeah, I feel like it's in the, I feel like it's in the end of June. And yeah, these
I
are
believe it is.
long meetings. And so anyway, again, you know, what does that look like? Is it just, we have a lot of support from the Senior Center Friends, a ton of support, financial support, also advocacy. You know, is it just a senior center shuttle at this point? You know, where we're just moving people around and getting them to the senior center? Because as I said before, the only people that can use our services after lunch are people that drive. That's it. And you can't use anything. Luckily, the county, using ARPA funds, gave us 2 buses to get people here. So I think Friday, we've got 17 people on a bus. So finally, they listened to my pleas, because you can hardly even get people here for lunch on time, because the contract we only have so many hours of service. It's not my contract, it's Dane County, so I don't have any control over it. You know, we were starting to see on those busy days, people were arriving at 11:30, quarter or 12, and then having to go home. So they don't get to do anything but have lunch, you know. And, you know, our meals are fine, but is it really worth a 1-hour bus ride? No, probably not. And, you know, I'm just saying it like it is. So anyway, the county heard my pleas. They gave us 2 buses, which was through ARPA funding, which will last through actually 2023 to get people here. But everybody still needs to go home at 12:30. So, you know, as I've made my pleas to the city, I would like to have additional transportation after lunch and even earlier in the mornings. You know, what happens? It would be great if people could get here at 9:30 or 10, come to knitting, you know, volunteering. We had a person quit volunteering because he couldn't get here on time on the bus. So anyway, you know, but again, it's not just for older adults. The transportation should provide transportation for everybody in the city. And, you know, I feel like it's a big investment, and why not, especially in the summer as you move kids around the city, you know, maybe with their babysitters or whatever. So I am strongly in support of keeping this ball rolling, even though there's some unanswered questions, because I feel like it's been put off long enough. And we can't answer the questions because we're not making it a priority. So that's just my, sure.
Do you do any intergenerational activities here?
You know, we work with Eagle School. We've worked with some daycares in the past, but not a ton. It's weird not having our own school district, especially not having a high school. We do have, actually today, we have 2 Oregon high school students coming in to be new volunteers who will start nail polishing today at 10:30. But anyway, so not a ton. You know, we could maybe do more.
The reason
Yeah.
I asked that, when I was a principal, I was in Monona Grove for
Mhm.
8 years, and I was in Maywood in Monona, and we partnered with the senior center there.
Yeah.
And we had seniors in all the time doing things with kids.
Yeah.
It was so nice. And out
Yeah.
in Hedge Grove, I did the same thing with the apartments.
Mm-hmm.
We bussed them. We took a school bus.
Right.
Went over, brought them over to the school
Mhm.
once a month. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
know it is different with all having a school district.
It is a little different,
Yeah.
but you know, that's not a hurdle we couldn't get over. So, yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
Jill, regarding transportation, is there any update on the communication we sent to the city of Madison regarding their bus routes and?
That went through. You know, there wasn't communication in terms of. I mean, there was like, "Yep, we hear you." And then there was another public meeting a couple weeks ago, I think, Dave. I listened into that, and lots of public comment from Town of Madison folks, because they were in jeopardy of losing a lot of their stops. And I would say, Dave, and you can correct me, the city put back those stops, several of those stops. But then that redesign, the metro redesign, had to go to Madison, and it was just approved this week. And I can't tell you exactly what was approved in terms of, I think the rapid transit, they did not extend it down to City Hall. That was a request. But I feel like the Town of Madison did get some stops back. Dave, can you elaborate on that?
I haven't, Jill, seen the amendments, that Madison approved. I believe those are in there because Fitchburg is being asked to pay an extra $100,000, out of whatever they had in the budget. And I assume it's mostly for that. There's 2 routes, the one in the Town of Madison, so that, so many residents weren't, I guess what was gonna happen is they were gonna have to walk quite a ways to get bus service, which wasn't acceptable. Mm-hmm. So there, and then also in my neighborhood on Belmar, Duns Marsh area there, They had really severely cut that back, and we changed it to have them come down Genuine and Red Arrow, so a little bit better. So those are going to cost, having those is going to cost the city some money, but I believe those are the two that, you know, when Madison passed all their amendments, those are included in there. But I haven't seen their list for sure. You know, I probably read the same article in the paper that you did, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'm not surprised about the rapid transit not coming down here. But that's why I think we like to call it the Civic Shuttle, the Civic Center Shuttle. Like, I already have a name. We don't even have a bus, but we have a name. And I think so, you know, it makes sense. This is the Civic Center. So anyway, that's why I feel maybe there's some leverage there, you know, that there still is not regular service to Civic Campus. And I think that that's important for older adults and everybody if we want to see Fitchburg as a livable city. So, yeah. Any questions about that? Go ahead.
You know, if the BRT gets to the new hub, you know, then I think we have some options to explore as a city, you know, to use that as a transport place back and forth. Because, you know, I think that's probably what you're getting at, Joe.
You mean when you say the bus rapid transit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, if they get to the hub on Fish Hatchery, you know, then maybe we can use that hub park, you know, and maybe the city can provide, you know, our bus or something, you know, we can have some service down to the, which is probably, you know, at a fraction of the cost of, you know, BRT going down there quite often. So
Right.
I think there's a you know, a win scenario for us, you know, that,
Yep.
that we can get without, you know, without breaking the bank, I guess.
Well, I think so. I think that, you know, these grants definitely are advantageous to us and to the city, and with some funding support from the Friends too, that, you know, again, maybe it's a pilot for 1 year. It's just serving people, older adults. You know what I mean? I don't really know. Again, you know, I'm very cognizant of using city funds to just, you know, offer one major service to one population. But if it's too overwhelming to figure out what those routes and who it might serve, what that looks like, you know, we've talked a lot about, you know, is it on demand? Is it set stops? And we feel like a hybrid, you know, like, you know, it would stop at, you know, heading down to Limerick, town of Madison, circling around, going up, like Dave said, by the hub and the High Line, you know, but then there could also be on-demand stops. And, you know, Fitchburg's hard. We're big, you know. I mean, we've got people all the way down south, and, you know, you take one van down there, one bus ride, it adds a lot of time. But again, you know, these are the growing pains that I think the city has to address. So, just my opinion. Yeah. I think I have covered everything on my list. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Jill? Well, our next meeting will be on July 14th. Put that on your calendar, everybody. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Does anyone have